I'm Arun Malhotra. I'm in ETAuto Unplugged. We talk to industry leaders and discover various facets of the auto business, which is absolutely fascinating. And one of the facets which we're going to discuss, which is very critical, is the luxury passenger vehicle market. Now, if we read school economics, I remember we used to read the concept of necessity, comfort, luxury. And the saying used to go that the luxury of the comfort of today will be the necessity of tomorrow, and vice versa with respect to luxury. But that's something which was said, and there's a lot happening. The numbers may not seem large, but the luxury passenger vehicle market is defining the way the industry operates. And today, to discuss this topic, I have a person whose, I think, view is not only limited to luxury passenger vehicles. He's a voice, a thought leader in industry on anything to do with the way India is developing and India is marketing itself. And I'm talking of nobody else, and we are very fortunate to have Mr. Santosh Iyer, who's the MD CEO of Benz India.
Thanks, Arun. Thanks for having me here. Thank you.
Welcome, Santosh. So, before we get to the luxury passenger vehicle market, it'll be interesting to know about your background, your days of school, college, your interests, your passions, what you took up, what were your desires, what drove you, just to get an insight of what Santosh is all about.
Wow. Well, I'm a simple guy from Bombay, basically born in Kerala, in Thrissur, but then that's it. And I came, my parents were in Bombay. Or Mumbai, now that's called. So all my upbringing happened in the suburbs of Bombay, in a place called Kandivali. My schooling, also I did my graduation in commerce in Bombay. Friends are my biggest assets. They are still there in Bombay. And from there on, I lost my dad at an early age, and that's where started shaping my career. I started selling capital equipment goods in a company called Avery, selling weighing machines, petrol pumps, fuel dispensers, and then I went to Nepal. I did a short entrepreneurial stint with a very good friend of mine. Did quite well. Also did some mistakes. Very few people know that I actually made a three-wheeler, a gas-based three-wheeler, which didn't do well. It's called Pragati. But I learned a lot with those mistakes, and then came back to India, and then to Pune. I was in Yamaha two-wheelers doing sales for Maharashtra. Then I did marketing, and then of course I joined many other companies, Toyota and Ford. But the last 14 odd years now, I am with Mercedes-Benz here. Growing up the ranks, started with marketing, did communications, did customer services, corporate affairs, network, sales, and now finally heading the company and the organization.
So that's great, a very fascinating journey. You know, capital equipment, selling capital goods or industrial goods, going to a different market, Nepal, developing a three-wheeler, which is a total. If there is to be product differentiation between three-wheeler and luxury car, I can't think of a bigger differentiation. Then moving to other car companies and two-wheelers. It's a fascinating journey. But just want to know from you, from your early days, what did it fascinated you?
I love travel to start with. So basically anything that had to do with travel, and that I thought what job can help me do that. And for me, sales job in that sense very close. So I hate desk jobs or sitting in one place, and therefore I always thought I will pick up a career in sales. So the first time when I joined Avery, it was through a walk-in classified ad in Times of India saying walk-in interview, come to Ballad Estate, and I just went there. Of course, I still remember after the interview, my boss, whom I owe a lot, he told me, Santosh, the next round if you have to clear, you have to wear a tie. And then I went out, bought a tie, and that's how I started there. But I love to meet people. As you said, I have done a huge spectrum of different topics. But as long as you are able to understand the customer, I still feel you can sell capital equipments, cars, bikes, or even three-wheelers. It doesn't matter as long as you are as customer-centric, and coming from the customer view, it's always easy to make the decisions and also think about it.
So you said you went in for a walk-in interview, and now you are the MD CEO not only of Mercedes-Benz, but you are the voice of the entire marketing industry. It's a journey. If I have to put it in one word, it is from log cabin to White House. So how do you take this term? Do you agree with this?
I would say a lot of blood and sweat in real terms has gone into it, because a lot of colleagues and my friends, my close friends know this. They have seen my growth, really hard work over the many years. Also risk. Because there is no easy solutions. You have to take risk at the right time. I remember when I was making my career shift, if I call my best buddy and I ask him, hey, I am doing this, is it right? He said, do what your heart tells, right? And if you are convinced, do it. And I always change organizations. I can also say to youngsters, I change organizations not looking at designations. You know, I may be head of marketing way back in Nepal, head of operations, coming back as a sales executive or an area manager, moving back to an officer in a company like Toyota. I love to do different jobs. So I keep telling people, don't go out, chase designations, chase job content. And as you chase job content, you grow faster in your career and do better.
Santosh, I think we would require a separate session with you. You can be a role model for people, you know. A lot of youngsters come with preconceived notions. I can do this. If I start with this, I'll get fixed here. But you're a true case that, you know, you moved across industries, you moved across geographical territories, you took risks. And there's a famous dialogue in one of the top serials, risk hai to ishq hai. So I don't know whether it's old school or not.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Now coming to luxury, and before we come to the luxury car, the way luxury is evolving in this country in the last 15 years, because you've been in Mercedes for the last 14
years, since 2009.
So, let's come to, before we come to passenger vehicles, which we will discuss in detail, but just to understand how luxury has changed over the years, in the last 15-20 years.
Well, that's interesting. You know, when I joined this company, we were selling 3,000 cars. Till last year, we did 16,000 cars in the last 12, 13 years time. And that shows the multiplication factor. You know, a lot of people say the industry is small, for sure. But still, it has grown from, as Mercedes-Benz, 3,000 odd to today, 16, 18,000 cars that we may do end of this year. So I think that's a lot of transformation happening. Earlier, when, you know, I used to look at cars, it was also consumers coming were more rational. They wanted the brand to some extent, and they knew about cars, but they were not as educated, you know, to a large extent, and they knew, and they were traditional buyers, luxury dwellers. Today, if you see the customer, they know everything. They know a bit more than my sales guys also. They have researched a lot on the internet. They have used our products. Maybe they have studied abroad in the US, in UK, and when they come here, they want to again drive these cars. They know a lot about our brand history. They know a lot about technology. So the consumer has evolved a lot. I think, and then I keep saying India has two types of consumers. There is a luxury dweller. They are sons and daughters, or you know, they have been always consuming luxury. Exactly, to some extent inherited. Maybe
I would
first
call them the Jagirdars.
Jagirdars or even the second generation, they are into certain topics, and but they are consuming luxury. They stay in the best of hotels and they know. And then there is a first timer into luxury. You know, they have been, when it comes to cars, they are in the mass market segment. They now want to make that big shift to the segment. And then they are a bit more, their time to closure is more. The purchase decision starts, say, 6 months prior, because that's when they start looking for cars and, you know, which brand, which product. So, and that's around 30-40% of our portfolio today. So, but whatever we do, we have to take care of both the segments, because the need states are different. The way we connect with them, the way we are able to engage them are completely different. Because, you know, when I do a golf clinic, for example, the luxury dweller will come with his kid and he wants to do a bit more, learn about golf in a much more, I would say, matured manner, because they know the game of, they know the sport, they know what to wear to come to a golf course. The other set of guys, I would say the aspirational guys who are coming, they first ask, is sneakers allowed, not allowed? How do I come to a golf course? You are calling me for a clinic, what should I be prepared for? So, you know, there is a lot of anxiety because they are getting into the segment. But as a responsible brand, we also want to get more and more consumers to luxury. We want to give them a taste. We want them to enjoy, you know, new sport. So we need to take both of them along. So for the matured guy, we have a different set of golf clinics, experts doing it, and for the first timers we have a separate set of golf clinics, more to you know, get them to the sport than actually making their sport better. So that's the difference.
So I'll just get out of the auto industry for a moment, and since you're a thought leader much beyond auto, if you consider luxury, let's take passenger vehicles, we can park at one side.
Yeah.
There's so much luxury, people that want their, you know, they buy bags, they buy shoes, they buy various products, you know, which are, they buy watches, which, you know, I mean, the values seem obscene. At least in passenger vehicle, you see a certain vehicle, some features, certain, you know, design, certain things. So, is the type of customer, when they shop across luxury, is it the same or is it very different from places like watches, shoes, and this thing, or the luxury car? Is it the same profile of customer, or it is different?
No, it's a very good question. So, my favorite definition of luxury is I borrow it from Coco Chanel. She said, luxury starts where necessity ends.
Okay.
Okay, and that's true for watches, true for cars, because you don't need a watch to see the time. For that, any watch will do it, and you need other brands or luxury brands to do a bit more than time. You don't need handbags to store, your day-to-day stuff. It's about owning certain brands, and same for cars. To go from point A to point B, there are many good enough cars with good enough technology to take you there, but you need something more, and therefore, when you look at cars again, they are much more loaded with equipment or with features or with comfort, which a normal consumer may not need it, or even somebody who's buying it may not even use it in the lifetime. But it's all there. So it's always over proportional, disproportional. Now coming to consumers, what we see is a large proportion of customers are already into consumption of luxury when it comes to watches, bags, and many other personal. But when you look at cars, there's still some resistance. They will have one luxury car in the family and then 3-4 mass market cars. It's a combination, and they still feel, oh, is it a depreciating asset? Should I really spend so much on the car? And as such, because you buy this asset in your own name for 3-4 years time. So unlike bags and cars, which you can take inside a party, right? Cars still come on the porch. So and that's what is fueling the retail consumption of luxury goods. So when I speak to some people who are involved in watches today in India and to certain other categories, they are all bullish. They are all flying off the shelf. A lot of consumption. Cars picking up there. But and as I said, a lot of people buy luxury cars also as a statement to say, yes, now I am in the state, I have my startup, I have already got the second round of funding, I buy the S-Class. It also signifies certain things, right, to your clients, to your friends. So it's limited, but it's growing fast.
So, if I play the devil's advocate, some people told me that when you buy a luxury watch or you buy a luxury bag, you move in a particular circle. But when you buy a luxury vehicle, it is visible not only to your friends but to everybody at large. And India had this unique concept of that simple living and high thinking, or do not give that image that I am too well off, because it attract various people in different ways. It could attract even people from the income tax or various things. Is this concept of that understating yourself? A lot of people, you see one generation before, they had the money, but somehow their lifestyle is understated. They consider spending on luxuries in. Is that concept dying out, or is still people are visible that I don't want to show that I can afford this?
No, I think fundamentally what changed compared to other luxury goods, none of the other luxury goods are registered, okay, in any government portal anywhere. A car is a registered asset. So a lot of people talk about cash. I said it's not possible. Car, you need to either fund it with your own money. Everything is tracked, everything is done. What has happened is in the last 3-4 years, I think the implementation of GST, a lot of books have come in, tax compliances have increased. A lot of consumers now don't mind buying a luxury car because they are disclosing income and wealth via different sources, and they are able to justify the high ticket purchases, which may not be the case in the past. So I think that's also something that is changing in the society. But now I come to the cultural aspect, that I don't need to show off, and that still prevails. There are two things working together. One is I don't need to show off, and second, I need to save a lot also, because there is a lot of uncertainty of the future. We also care for a lot about our children, and therefore...
I still remember you had a very interesting line which you mentioned something about that people, the stock market is competing with luxury cars.
I use the acronym of SIPs because SIP is a symbol of savings, right? Similar is gold, for example, the amount of gold that is purchased. Similarly, people investing in SIPs because that's for an uncertain future. That's for something not to take the risk. Unlike the Western counterparts, let's save first, have the enough corpus, and then go out and buy and indulge, which is not a wrong thinking. But sometimes consumption also has to go hand in hand for the economy to develop. Active consumption, not a lot of credit-based consumption, but still we need to consume to also grow as an economy, as a country. And there you can see the initial signs with consumption coming up, but still we have some way to go. When I look at millionaires, if you compare, we have hardly 6 to 8% of our millionaires, buying luxury cars. So there is enough money and wealth in India. But I think
So what is holding them back? What is holding them back?
there is no need, right? We are a very rational society to a large extent, and when in a rational society, sometimes you don't need a luxury car to indulge, and that may also apply. You don't need an XYZ bag or an XYZ shirt or an XYZ accessory like a watch. I can do without it, and I can live without it, because this generation has also earned money on a hard way. India is still on that growth trajectory. So when you, and in that sense, when you have to splurge, you think twice. But their sons, their daughters who are now studying abroad, who have a better exposure, they are now coming and they are consuming. And that's why the demographic shift of a younger population, more exposed population, I think will drive the luxury consumption in India as well.
So if I take you from your perspective, the potential or the opportunity share for luxury cars is much higher than what we are seeing the volumes.
For sure, if you see the wealth and the opportunity, it's there. But on the other side, again, one more topic on the cultural topic is wealth was considered evil in India. Making a wealth and showing off wealth, both of them. So a socialist nation with capitalist ambitions, kind of a thought always remained. And in that, that's also changing. It's also good. I think business leaders are today respected, awarded, and that's a big change that you see.
So if you're a unicorn, if you make money, it's
good. It's good. It's a matter of pride now. Even we don't look down upon them. We look up to them. They are creating jobs. They are creating. And earlier, I remember growing up where somebody even bought a Contessa. There was, how did he buy it? Was the question mark. So today, that's not asked. And I think that these are changes that we see societally happening. It's for the good, and therefore one has to be patient. The potential exists, but it won't happen by itself also. There has to be a bit done by brands like us, trying to simulate demand, a bit also as the society changes, they slowly come in. But to expect like a hockey stick, I think we will be naive. It will be slow, gradual, but one thing is sure, it will happen for sure.
So the inflection point has come. The momentum is positive.
Momentum is positive, but I am not a believer of a hockey stick growth, saying that suddenly now the multiples will happen 10 to 20 to 40 to 60. That's not going to happen in a market like India.
So, very interesting you mentioned, the slightly older generation, who have come the hard way up, they, in spite of having the money, they don't spend. I still remember a personal incident 15 years back. One of my close relatives told me, "You're MD of a company. Why do you wear a Titan watch?" I said, "Is Titan a bad brand?" He said, "No, but MD should not be wearing a Titan watch." That's a mindset.
That's true. Absolutely. And that's there. Even today, we hold back. Why don't you see a high street anywhere in India so fast? Delhi has one odd mall, Bombay has maybe, and Bangalore one odd. But when you go to an airport, we have so many nice airports in India. You don't see the brands that we see in Europe. When we land in any airport in Europe, you see the kind of brands, luxury brands. You don't see that because the consumption is still limited across categories, across stuff. But I see a lot of retail chains coming up, which are now having different clothing brands, apparel brands. They're coming up even in small. I was in Raipur, for example. I saw certain chain of retail stores all displaying high-end luxury clothing brands, for example. Also, when it comes to small ticket consumption, like coffee, people are started to spend irrationally, and that's something will trickle down. Phones, we are seeing a higher consumption. Even though they buy on EMIs, they are still okay to take that plunge and buy, because phone is also a depreciating asset, but they still are investing and taking. So it's a matter of time. This will trickle in even to cars and to other categories.
Now look at just at customers. Generally the stereotyping of luxury people who buy luxury vehicles or luxury products, or either they were CEOs of companies who had fat salaries, or they were industrialists, and they lived in these 5-6 key towns, which is there. Has that changed dramatically?
You see, still today to own a luxury car and specific Mercedes-Benz, you need money, because the car price starts at 52, 53 lakhs. Some of us look at ex-showroom price of 45 for an A-class, but by the time it's on-road, it's 52 odd lakhs. And then it goes up straight to 3 to 4 crores. So technically, you need money. Money either being a professional as a salaried CEO or in the top level of the management in the company. And today, corporate India is doing well. A lot of ESOPs coming out, and the earnings, you can see all their balance sheets. And I think that's why they are also rewarding employees. So you can see that sector. On the other hand, still a bulk of cars are purchased by SMEs and small industrialists who run businesses. They, as I said, for them, car is also used as as an indicator, you know. So when they have to go and pick up a client, or if they have a client coming from abroad, and then they pick up in a Mercedes Benz, they feel, they then look up to them saying, okay, this guy is not running a small business, this guy is running a medium scale and doing well. That's why he's able to afford a luxury car. So we have fundamentally wealthy people buying. The younger guys are the guys who are now taking risk. So, you know, today with monthly installments, as I said, the example of iPhone, and the same is coming to cars. And I now see that the next leap is coming from buying luxury via installments. They still feel, why should I own the car? Maybe I buy it on, not like a lease, but we have something called agility, where I just pay off 60,000 rupees a month. I pay 10 lakh rupees, let me own the brand, the product, and enjoy today, and not wait till the time I make the corpus. But as I said, we have to be patient. You know, we have strategic patience. 28 years in India, Mercedes-Benz has been, we have to be patient. We have seen the growth, the runway is set up, but there will be a time where this all falls in place together.
So if I would say that you come a long way, but there's a long, long way to go.
Yes,
now,
exactly.
You know, this would be a challenge from a marketing perspective. You are focusing, or your marketing communication is directed towards slightly diverse set of customers, their values, their systems, their income, not income, but their mindset, the background they come from, and then taking this entire thing to the dealership. You know, I still remember 10 years back that if you have to sell a luxury car, you have to be smart, stylish, wearing a tie. The salesman had to be this.
Yeah.
Now, looking at this divergent set of customers coming in, one is the typical, which you said, who have arrived in life before. You know, and those who are arriving today, and their education may not be, or their style quotient, which you mentioned in the golf thing, may not be of that level, which is there. So how difficult is the challenge from a branding or communication perspective, and from dealing face to face with these customers at the showrooms?
Wow, that's a very practical question coming from your experience, Arun, because marketing, I think, is still fine, because we do a lot of experiential-led marketing. We have certain templates adapted to India, and you know, we have to keep Instagrammable experiences, as we call it, so that consumers feel, I got it, I am the first to get this. Access is important, and a lot of product and brand experiences. But where the truth is when the sales consultant meets the customer, or when the service advisor is talking to a customer for service. And that's where the brand has to live up to the promise of a luxury brand. And here, you know, because the luxury ecosystem doesn't exist in India, to get trained professionals is a challenge. So we need to first invest in our own people. We have tied up with this Swiss institute, EHL. They do a lot of luxury training. They train people for hospitality industry. We have said to them to train our team. But let's accept, you know, many of us are from the middle class background and upbringing. So sometimes it's overwhelming even for my sales guys, for my service advisors. And they feel, what's luxury all about? Is it that barista coffee, wearing certain suits and being there? And we try to explain, no. You know, as long as you understand where the customer is coming from and how are you able to relate to the customer. Okay. So a lot of training goes into understanding the luxury space when it comes to sales, knowing other brands, so they are able to communicate with the customer, connect with the customer on those levels. Also, product knowledge is extremely important. When it comes to service, I still feel that our customers' time is luxury for them. So how soon can you give their car back? How can you fix it first time right? Basics, and how clearly you can communicate, because that's also somewhere, because many of them send drivers to our workshops, and then there is a channel or a layer of communication between the customer and the service advisors. And here we have to use technology. We have to also use a lot of clarity and I think transparency. And this is somewhere, because we shifted to the new business model. You know, we do direct to consumer selling. I think we have been really, it helped us a lot in sales. Because their transparency on stock, no discount, or if there is a discount, every customer in India would know it. You know, there is no hidden bargaining in sales side. So we took out all of that in sales. In service, we are still working on it. We are still trying to see what to do. So a combination of training, a combination of making them understand the purpose, also making them proud that they work for a luxury brand and they are luxury professionals and not just a car sales or a car service professionals. That actually makes them more intrigued, because you have to invest personal time to upgrade your skill set, to upgrade the knowledge and the content.
So, you know, a lot of luxury brands, I'm not talking only passenger vehicles, but they come from Europe, which is there. Now, generally one hears that the luxury brands are very particular. They have a clear playbook that this is the way my product has to be sold. This is the way. One is the technical part.
Yeah.
So now when you have this clear playbook that this is the way my customer will deal, this is the way my customer experience should be, and you are talking of an India experience which may talk of luxury but it's different. So how do you marry the two?
See, we have to be very conscious that as a market, we have a lot of cultural sensitivities and that cannot be taken away. My global playbook will say that we need white lilies to be given at the time of delivery. But white has a different connotation in India.
Absolutely.
And if I don't now change that to a tulip or something, I will not be doing justice to the way. So there are small intricacies, and therefore, I think I am proud of my team. They come from the customer view. We are flexible. We keep adapting it. But handcraftedness. I keep saying, and as you rightly said, many of the luxury brands are from Europe. One of the core selling philosophies is handcraftedness in Europe, because there is less number of people there and anything handcrafted is valued. But when you look into Indian sector, handloom, for example, it's available widely. Nobody gives premium for handloom, handcraftedness in India because artisans are available and that value is not there. So then, in the Indian context, how do you explain luxury? What has gone into the car and how do you really present yourself? And this you have to contextualize, for sure. For an Indian consumer, that may be a bit different compared to the European counterpart. And the rationalism, as I said, is very high. So the tendency to compare feature to feature when it comes to a car is super high, and they say, okay, this mass market car I own also has this. But then the smaller things behind it, and therefore the refinement is where, yeah, exactly. So, and for that they need to experience, otherwise you don't know the subtle changes, and our guys need to experience it. So even for us in MB India, every weekend any employee can take a Mercedes-Benz home. With the family. And we have said this is a program so that they know what the product is, what the brand is before they start telling others. So these kind of connect.
Once you experience a product, you can talk that product.
Exactly.
If you don't experience the product, you cannot talk the product.
Absolutely. And this includes even my blue collar workers who are making cars.
Great,
so that they feel proud of it, and they also can, they of course they should have a driving license, they need to take care of the car, that's all. But a weekend with the brand, with the product, with the car makes them, and then they can do better for customers, in terms of what to offer for the customer.
Now, let's look at the product as such. Today there was cars, now there's a craze towards SUVs internationally. It's also probably following luxury cars. EV is the buzzword nowadays, and I think the EV acceptance is slightly faster in the range which is there.
Yeah.
So when you are managing these technology changes, cars, I don't know, 3 years back, 4 years back, what was the proportion of cars in the cars versus SUV? What was the ratio? And what is it today?
Fortunately, our product lineup has been very strong on SUVs and sedans. And we may have had a 55 sedan to a 45 SUV, and today we have a 55 SUV to a 45 sedan. So it's also based on because I think our largest selling car is still a E-Class, long wheelbase in India. It's a sedan. For us, the stateliest nature of a luxury comes from the sedan, also to a large extent. But the consumer preferences are changing because of road conditions, because more value. So they feel more metal, much bigger cars. So we can surely see a shift to SUVs and even in luxury SUVs. But when I look at EVs, there again there is mixed when it comes to body type, because when it's a sedan, considering technically if you see a coefficient drag of a sedan is better than an SUV, and therefore the range for a EV on a sedan is definitely much better than an SUV. It also depends if people are self-driving, and with the better roads today in India, I think sedans are much better in that sense. So, yesterday we were discussing with some guys, and they all said, maybe if road infrastructure improves, don't be surprised if sedan again comes back. But we have to continuously see, the good part is we have a full portfolio.
So whether it's a sedan, whether it's a SUV, or whether it's a EV, you are ready with all types of technologies which are there.
Yeah.
Now coming to, there are 3 sets from a normal passenger vehicle customer. One is a customer who is very value conscious, in terms of cost of ownership, fuel efficiency, repair, maintenance. That is one. Second is who's fascinated by features and gizmos, the bells and whistles, and they have to be very high level, whether it's an infotainment screen thing. And third is clearly a customer who probably wants to make a statement. It could be a combination of the second also. So when you look at these 3 parts of it, how are these things developing? One is the technology part of it. Which is one is, when I say one is technology, which is, I would say, a inbuilt part of the product which impacts the vehicle's performance. So which may be in terms of safety, it may be in terms of driving, it may be in terms of, and then there is technology which really doesn't do something to the vehicle, but it's a different experience.
Yeah.
So how do you marry the two?
I think we have to be conscious. The core of our business is product. Okay, our mission statement is one single saying: we will make the most desirable cars. Full stop.
Desirable.
Period. Most desirable cars in the world.
And this desirability will change with time.
Which will, exactly, will change with time, because today, cars, we spoke about EVs, but what we feel is, the operating system in the car. So we are already investing in a proprietary operating system called Mercedes-Benz OS, MB-OS. So today, you go to any car. I'll just give an example. You put a Google Maps on any car with a CarPlay, it all seems similar. But when we have an MB-OS, the same Google Maps on a Mercedes-Benz will offer a different user interface, and consumers want those experiences which is unique, which they are getting used to it. So we are getting more from a hardware-driven company to a software-driven company, transforming from the core of the product. And so that remains fundamental. Second, customers can desire different things, and including value. I would say they are, if they are spending so much of money, I keep telling my team, they have done something in life to afford Mercedes-Benz cars. And if they have done it, they are very smart and knowledgeable. So you have to ensure cost of ownership is reasonable and low. In our segment, end of the day, we cannot compete with, because you have to see always a percentage price of the car in terms of ownership, because our parts are expensive, but the car is also expensive. So it cannot be compared with mass market, apple to apple. But the percentage cost of maintaining our car should definitely be competitive, or if possible lower, or competitive compared to any other car segment. And our customers see this. It's very important. They also look at the residual value of the car, because they all own the car for average ownership is 3 to 4 years, and they want to change. So they want a better price when they are selling. They don't mind paying a premium. At least our segment of customers, core Mercedes, they are fine to pay a premium at the time of purchase, but they want to ensure a seamless experiences.
Okay.
So product is core. As I said, mission statement is to continue to make the most desirable cars, and that we will do, and with that we feel that should be the core mantra that we have. And our job in India is to ensure most desirable cars with the most desirable experiences. So customer experience, how can we match with the car and the product, and that I think is a winning formula.
So let's take a pricing or the product, the way the price you buy it. I mean, a lot of people tell me, "Sir, you go to Dubai, you get the same vehicle at 60% of the price." There may be a reason for it. Now, one side you have this challenge that the taxation is the highest on these luxury cars, and even you need to import certain things, so the import duty is higher. The other side, you also want to make in India, and then if you have to make in India, you have to reduce your CBU, CKD or SKD. So how do you, and the volumes still aren't that large of global standards. It's going up, it's a fast pace. So how do you combine the two, and how do you see it that we still invest in manufacturing?
So today, out of our total sales volume, almost 97% is CKD, made in India. And we predominantly sell cars made. I have 14 car lines made in Chakan in Pune.
And vendors, how much would be vendor?
The core vendor base is more than, we have 12 core vendors, we call them, who supply in and around our plant and facility.
And they're based here?
They are all based here, and I would say localization directive is close to 30%. We do much more than 30%. So in that sense, we have tried to localize, and we not only localize for cars in India, but we also do a lot of procurement out of India for the world. So we are also developing vendors to supply for the global supply chain, and I have almost a 20-30 member team in Pune only doing procurement from India for the world. So I think we look at India holistically. Also, there is another company in Bangalore which is called Mercedes-Benz Research and Development. That's the second biggest, that's the biggest R&D center outside of Germany. 10,000 people working there. So a lot happening, and I can proudly say that every Mercedes has an India in it.
So Santosh, very interesting. One would never imagine that so much is being spent on design and development with 10,000 people working, and then a lot of component manufacturers who may also supply to you, but they are also making. So that's the whole essence of Make in India. You just can't be assembly point. It has to be designed, developed, even components, which is a big thing, and have to move forward.
You have to look at holistically the full value chain and not piecemeal on the cars that we make here as such.
So do you think there is a change? Slightly tricky question. I mean, I leave it to you to reply or not. Is there a change in the mindset of the government that today we don't have to tax a luxury car because anyway they're higher value? The taxation percentage, even if it's a normal value, the value you will consume is very high.
As leading the company, I can always keep asking for lower taxes, and that's maybe the case. But if I have to look at from the government lens, in India, only 4% have access to any form of automotive, including a two-wheeler.
Okay.
And now, when I go to a four-wheeler, it's only the 2% of population now. So, from a priority of the government, where the direct tax collections are so low, you all read the income tax collections in India and how, small percentage is paying tax. The options are limited for the government. They have to tax certain sectors. Of course, as a sectoral, we would always wish it to be lower, but we have to be pragmatic on what can happen. And I keep saying we have to do business the way the local government defines. We do business globally, and if the taxation is what it is, and then how do we work with the taxation and still try to grow the market. Of course, as your first comment, many of them say cars are too expensive in India compared to the West. That's a fact. There is no doubt about it. But then so are many things expensive in India compared to the West. And if you look at all...
vice versa also.
Yeah. So, and still consumers consume, right? They consume different products, be it electronics, laptops and many other stuff, which is all now slowly trying to getting made in India. But that's a transition of the economy. But if I look at the structure of cars also, 2017, I saw that 80% of the cars were below 10 lakh rupees. Today, it has come down to only 55%. And 41% of the cars are below 10 to 20 lakhs. So, the market is maturing to higher priced cars. Even those cars are taxed. So taxation is there across segment. Where I am concerned on tax, if you ask me, is on the EV side. Because I think the central government has a very good clear policy of zero taxation or 5% GST on EVs. But the states, the road tax is 15 to 20%.
That's a side
depending on states. There are some states like Maharashtra, Delhi, where they offer zero road tax. But some don't. And some who were offering, for example, Telangana, Hyderabad, they used to offer zero, now they have withdrawn. And this is too soon. You need to allow EVs to settle in, consumers to buy.
Yeah. Central taxes still are sustaining over time, but
the state is going erratic, and that also means the demand goes erratic in these states for EVs and stuff. So our request is always have a long-term view on EVs.
So now we come to, let's do some crystal gazing.
Okay.
And I'll ask you two questions. I mean, we'll hold you accountable for it. Suppose we were to look at and talk to Santosh in 2030. If today you said how much is the passenger vehicle luxury car market?
So total
this year would be how much?
Around 44,000 odd cars.
If you were sitting in 2030, that is 7 years down the line, what do you think the market size would be?
I would say double-digit growth should be possible in a market like India, so and the double-digit can be anywhere between the 10% to 99%, right? If you look at
if the 44,000 is here, what would be the figure you would
No, so if I go the most...
go in pragmatic way.
Yeah, so I still feel we should be around 70,000-80,000 units kind of a thing.
Isn't that slightly conservative?
It's better to be conservative. What holds us back? I have a plant which can make 20,000 capacity going up to 40. If the market comes in, we are fully ready. We have been ready for many years. We can produce, we can sell. But there are a lot of factors. Let us also say, apart from the local demand, and as you mentioned, the price of the cars, today the exchange rate, the rupee to the euro, it used to be 70s 2 years back. It's around 90 today. As in the morning, it was 91. So as it goes up, the pricing of these cars are going up, and that also has an impact on demand. We cannot now run away from that fact.
The second question is EVs. If we are sitting in 2030 in luxury cars or luxury passenger vehicles, what would be the contribution of EVs in percentage terms?
It can easily go up more than 50% in my view.
So what would be the final percentage?
Very difficult. You are crystal ball gazing. Anywhere between the 50 to the 100 mark should be reasonable.
Okay, good. That's very good. So now we come into the last round, and this is a rapid fire round.
Okay.
So
I need to be
the questions is there.
Guarded.
So we need very sharp, precise answers.
Okay.
You can duck a question, but the questions I leave it to you.
I will try.
So now I'm talking of wish list.
Okay.
There's a saying that don't ask what the country will do for you, or don't ask what others will do for you, ask what you can do for them.
Okay.
So now you have to wear 3 hats. The first hat you are wearing of OEM, manufacturer of luxury cars. What do I expect from the government? This is my wish list in number 1, number 2.
Policy
And
consistency, yeah.
Point one and point two.
Clear is policy consistency on EVs. We need a commitment from the government for a
Policy.
long-term tax continuation, the current benefits to continue so that we can invest on EVs.
So number two.
Second, I think in general, continue the GDP growth momentum. You know, that's also the, we have seen a good run, a good recovery post-COVID. We just would need a good momentum to continue. But the third, in fact, that can be the second itself, is continue the infra push. I think the roads coming into India has a lot of impact on the consumption of cars and specifically luxury cars. Outstanding roads being made. Let's continue that momentum.
Now you're wearing the hat of the government. You know, industry keeps saying this is to be improved, this is to be reduced, this is to be done. He says, you can keep people telling me do this. But these are my two wish lists from the industry, from the government perspective.
Don't shy away from getting the latest technology and don't compromise safety. India needs safer cars as much as possible.
Okay. Now, if you have to wear the hat of a dealer who are dealers of luxury car brands, and dealers also have expectations, they'll mange more. What would be things that this luxury car brands don't do, this they should do? Number one, number two.
I would say train our guys and prepare them for the
but training, you must be doing training good enough, I'm sure.
But you know, no amount is less, more. Because
anything which is breakthrough they want. This is not happening at all, but this must happen.
You know, unfortunately, I would say we have already changed the business model. You know, this is one thing that if you have been a veteran in the auto industry, they don't want stocks, they don't want
so you learned that, I know that.
So we have taken out all that. So today, I am proudly, I can say, talk to any of our dealer partner, they will be happy. They'll be happy for the big step that we have taken. So in that sense, we have mitigated a lot of their concerns.
So you're saying the operation issues, we have to raise the bar on various issues, and the focus has to be on the customer, on the market, rather than
on stock management and push and discount and profitability, because profit is taken care the moment we have taken over everything else, and they are agents now and they are really taking care of.
Since you're a thought leader of the luxury brands, and now I'm not talking of you as a CEO MD of Mercedes, I'm talking as a person who represents the entire luxury car market. What is your wish list 5 years down the line or 7 years down the line? Or what is your aspiration or wish list?
I personally, I would say I'm a believer in the India growth story, that we are poised for a growth, and with this, all of us, and I think that's a very good nature of the luxury car market also. Everybody is trying to grow the market, and there is a very strong spirit of growing the market. Of course, people try to pitch us against market shares, etc. But when I look into what all my colleagues are doing across the industry, the core idea is, can we grow the overall market? And there is enough market for all to grow. It doesn't matter. And I think that spirit should continue. And if we do that, the luxury, and I'm sure we will all do that, the market and the customer will be happy.
So thank you, Santosh. You've been very insightful, very incisive, true to your reputation in the media. And you've been frank and fearless, and you have not, just not try to play very safe. And you've been very clear enough, all right. So
thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Pleasure.